per hour. The rain should hopefully stay away in the forecast, but the wind could certainly be a factor. Take a look now at the bracket here in the 2022 edition of this tournament. Take a look at the upper right. You see the New England Revolution still in the round of 16 against Cavalli. More on that in a second. The Revs are advancing to the quarterfinal. That news just broke a few moments ago. I'll give you the official CONCACAF word on that when we have a moment during the match. But New England is going through, and now it's up to the rest of the teams to continue filling out this bracket. Take a look now at some highlights here in Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League. It was a terrific year last year in this tournament, an all-Mexico final, and Monterrey, Club America, put on a show down in Monterrey. This was the final a lot of people were hoping for, and they got their money's worth in the end. So much drama in this one. It came down to the last as this one goes along. The goal came early on. Monterrey sent their fans into a frenzy. This is a club with a very, very devoted fan base hoping for this trophy. Club America has had their fair share of dominance in Liga MX and in this tournament, but Monterrey ended up doing what they had to do. This was a terrific save in the top corner as America came back and tried to get right back into this after the early goal conceded off the hand and off the post. And this one, just so many bounces in each box, goal line saves. This one had so many twists and turns in the end. Memo Ochoa got just enough of that one, and then some help from his defender to keep it out. Here we are. There were 9 minutes of stoppage time. It's 1-0, and this one comes all the way through off the crossbar and then blocked again. There were shouts for handball. Were they going to give it? In the end, they go to VAR. In this one, again, just so many twists and turns. Crossbar, near handball, waved off, match over, final whistle, and Monterrey lifts the trophy in the 2021 edition of this tournament. Now, who will lift it in 2022? The voyage begins tonight. All starts in San Jose. As I mentioned before, Santos de Guápiles in their first appearance in this tournament. 3 times they've been in CONCACAF League, and their performance in last year's CONCACAF League earned them the berth in this year's CONCACAF Champions League. They fell in the quarterfinal to Forge, who we will see tomorrow night in this tournament, but that did not deter them from making it through to this year's edition of the Champions League. They were the second best ranked quarterfinalist who lost, and that gave them their berth. NYCFC took the more traditional route by hoisting the MLS Cup trophy. They are looking to back that up with a stellar performance here in CONCACAF Champions League. They've only previously been in this tournament once. It was back in 2020. They also started that tournament in Costa Rica against San Carlos, a match they won 5-3. They would go through to the quarterfinal where they were eliminated by Tigres, and they struggled mightily in that round. They lost 5-0 on aggregate after they really pushed through the Costa Rican San Carlos side, 6-3 on aggregate in the round of 16. Hebert is on the bench tonight for NYCFC. We'll get you the full lineups shortly, but he scored a hat-trick in that game for NYCFC. Could see him later on in this one. Imagine we would at the very least see him in the second leg coming next week in Los Angeles. Again, some dots to connect here after the kickoff. Why is NYCFC playing in Los Angeles? I'll give you some more on that in a few moments. But now the teams make their way out onto the field. Pause for a moment for the CONCACAF anthem and then get you going with kick between Santos and NYCFC.
Para el partido de esta noche de la Liga de Campeones Concacaf Scotiabank.
Santos, what will they do in their first foray into this tournament? They made it to the final and were the runners-up of Concacaf League in 2017. This is their lineup tonight. It's not full strength. They're missing 3 key players due to work visa issues. Giovanni, Luis Paradela, Everardo Rubio, 3 of their most prominent starters are not allowed to play in Costa Rica until sometime in March. They could be available, though, for the second leg in the United States, but they are missing today. The attention turns to Erson Mendez up top. Can he supply the scoring they need in this one? Jose Torres is the man in charge. John Johnson just earned the captain's armband for NYC last year. And then his counterpart, Osvaldo Rodriguez, the captain for Santos, 31-year-old Costa Rican, had 2 goals, 4 assists in CONCACAF League last year and earned the best 11 honors in the tournament. He makes things happen in the midfield for Santos. Look at the NYC lineup. It is just about their full-strength lineup from what they threw out there in their MLS Cup title win. Up top, they have Tati Castellanos. There was a lot of talk in the offseason. Would he stay? Would he go? That ball is still up in the air. They just recently, the report came out, rejected an offer from River Plate in Argentina. He's still there for now. He's full go, full focus on this team in the here and now. Will he be there come the summertime? Not sure, but the most important thing is he's there now. We do have VAR. Here's a look at the VAR war room. Fernando Guerrero, the man in charge. It's going to be a very interesting matchup here between Santos and NYC. A clash of styles. A team that doesn't have its full roster in Santos. A team with its full first-team lineup in New York City FC. A team that is in mid-season form in Santos. A team that is yet to begin its season in NYCFC. And we're just about to get the ball rolling here in San Jose, Costa Rica. Joe Malfa with you this evening. Very glad to have you with us for the first kick of the ball in the 2022 edition of the Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League. Action to follow this one. More games tomorrow, and then the second legs of each fixture will be next week. But it all starts with New York City FC and Santos de Guápiles, a team in New York making its second appearance ever in this tournament, and for Santos, a debut here on their home field. A glance at the watch from Jose Torres. And now that watch begins to tick. Here we are in the 2022 Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League. New York City FC from left to right in their baby blue. And you'll notice the star above their chest now. And Santos from right to left in the red. Avon Gray on the right wing for New York. A player inserted during the title run because of an injury to Anton Tinnerholm. Hurt his Achilles in October. They turn to the young Tavon Gray. He hasn't given that job up for the time being. Tinnerholm will be back healthy, they hope, by the summer. And we'll see whose job that is to take. But for now, Tavon Gray gets to start once again on the right wing. The man in the middle, Maxime Chanot and Alex Cayens, arguably the best center back pairing in MLS. Those two have been together now entering their 5th season. They know where the other's going to be at all times. Very calm, very collected, and Cayens in particular playing some of the best football of his life right now. A player who was a fringe roster player for his native Peru. The first 13 appearances of his international career all came in friendlies here and there, but he has been a starter in every single World Cup qualifier for a Peruvian team right now in position to qualify for the World Cup come the fall. Barquero harassed down on the sideline. Santiago Rodriguez earns possession for NYC. There's a look at Eric Rodriguez, the man in charge for Santos. First appearance in this tournament. Last year, they made it to the quarterfinal where they lost to Forge. They carried a 3-1 lead into the second leg on the road in Canada, but Forge beat them 3-0. And that ended it for Santos. Here's Gideon Zalelum. Flares it out wide for Gray. Santos will try to clog the middle, pack it in there. That's their MO under Rodriguez. Cede possession, sit back, wait for you to make a mistake. going to be interesting to see how that goes up against an NYC team that likes to attack the flank. So will clogging the middle deter them from their typical attack. There you see the mistake Santos was maybe looking for, and they turn it into possession of their own. Juan Diego Madrigal goes all the way back. Alvin Bennett, Costa Rican international, has been in the mix. World Cup qualifiers as well. Here's your first look at Tati Castellanos. Just a little late and a little strong on that one. Four games into the season for Santos. After finishing in third in their last domestic campaign, they've struggled to get off the blocks. 1 win, 1 draw, 2 losses. There's Ronnie Dialat for NYCFC. And yes, he is fully clothed. The last time you saw him, he was not. A little bet that he had with the supporters of NYCFC in Portland. See him stripped down after they won the title. Good to see he found his clothes once again. Into Morales. Now Castellanos threads it through. Chance here. Big save made by Kevin Ruiz. Back to Morales. Another stop by Ruiz. Still alive for New York. Talis Magno reacting in the box. Can't believe the chance they just had in the 4th minute. Should be 1-0 New York. Ruiz made the stop. Still an attack here. Shouts for handball given. The initial attack nearly led to a goal on 2 opportunities for New York. And now they'll have their chance from the spot. Well served in. Isalelum. Awkward hop and a clear handball there. Michael Barquero gets caught. It'll be Tati Castellanos finding the perfect blade of grass to put this one down on, hoping for his first goal of 2022 after a year full of goals. The MLS's Golden Boot winner with 19 last season. He scored 18 goals in his first 60 games for New York City FC. He scored 19 in the next 32. And now he has a chance for his first of 2022. The 23-year-old from Argentina. The approach, that's a touch from Ruiz, but Castellanos picks up right where he left off in 2021 with his first goal of 2022. And New York City gets a dream start here in the 2022 Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League. Well, it's preseason for some celebrations as well for New York. Not sure what that was, but they get the goal they need. Castellanos, a little hesitation on the first step. Ruiz guessed right, got a fingertip to it, but too much power on it from Castellanos. The game plan coming in, you imagine, from Santos was to keep things as clogged as possible in the middle. Force NYC to beat them in some other way. Prevent the ball from getting inside to a Castellanos. You don't usually play for a draw when you're the home team, but considering New York will not be at their true home when they play leg number 2 in Los Angeles, and Santos will have their full allotment of players potentially in Giovanni East, Luis Paradela, and Everardo Rubio. A tie would be good tonight for Santos, but now they're behind. Will this force them to open up, and will that in turn help NYC, who might want to play a more open game? I did mention earlier when we saw the bracket that New England will be through to the next round. The official statement from CONCACAF, Cavalli of Haiti has notified CONCACAF that the club has been unable to obtain the necessary visas required to travel to the United States for their upcoming matches against the New England Revolution, and that they have made the decision to formally withdraw from the competition. As a result, New England Revolution will progress to the quarterfinals, where they will face the winner of Pumas and Deportivo Saprissa in a round of 16 matchup. The matter of Cavalli's withdrawal from the competition will be referred to the CONCACAF Disciplinary Committee. That is a full statement from CONCACAF on that situation. So New England officially the first team through to the quarterfinals. And NYCFC looking to get a leg up on joining them there. Here's Gray. Chenault brings it back for Sean Johnson. That whole back line instrumental in NYC's run to the title. Chenault and Cayens, terrific, stout back there. And whenever they were beaten, Sean Johnson was there to bail them out. The third goalkeeper for the U.S. men's national team in each of the World Cup qualifying windows behind Zach Steffen and Matt Turner. He was the MLS Cup final MVP, had a big stop in the penalty shootout to lift that trophy. Here is Johnson once again, the 32-year-old from Atlanta, Georgia. Has now been in MLS for a dozen years. Started back in 2010 as a fourth-round pick of the Chicago Fire. Here's Urson Mendez taken down. He wanted the call that he didn't get. Mendez, just 20 years old, 2 starts this season. Had a goal in the win against Saprissa, and here they go the other way. Morales plays it out to the left side. Latching onto it. Monty Amundsen. The left back always eager to get forward. Here he is again. Back for Morales. Always the smallest player on the field, but his impact's a lot bigger than that. Just stands at 5'3", but always around the ball. Always playing his teammates into space. Last season ended up with 11 assists. Had a couple in the run-up to the trophy lift as well. Numbers here for Santos. Not the ball they needed. Goals have been hard to come by for Santos through 4 games in their domestic season. Once again, 1 win, 1 draw, 2 losses. Only 2 goals scored, and both came in their lone win. The other 3 matches, they were held scoreless. Defensively, they played well. Have a clean sheet in 1 game, and in the other 3, just giving up 1 goal per game. This is the case each and every year. Nothing to relay as far as current season form for the MLS team at this stage of this tournament. The MLS season does not begin for another couple of weeks. New York's campaign kicks off on February 27th against the Los Angeles Galaxy. Thales Magno, the young Brazilian, down the left flank, really emerged on the stretch of last season. Head coach Ronnie Deila doesn't expect him to be around long. Will be happy for every game he plays for New York, but knows he will eventually be among the top teams in Europe. This one threaded through, up into the air and cleared away by Mendez. 10 minutes gone here in Costa Rica. Ati Castellanos converted the penalty in the 5th minute to give New York the 1-0 lead. Joe Malfa here with you this evening. So glad you could join us to kick things off in CONCACAF Champions League, presented by Scotiabank. Back to Zalelum. An easy one to deal with at the back for Maxime Chenault. Just gets it across for Alex Cayens. I mentioned that season opener for New York coming in Los Angeles against the Galaxy. That's part of the reason why they're playing the second leg in LA. This one knocked back to Ruiz. Some New York players wanted a pass back, but inadvertent there on the clearance attempt. New York was in an awkward position. Yankee Stadium, Citi Field, 2 baseball venues they use and convert to their dimensions for soccer, are not eligible for CONCACAF competitions. Red Bull Arena wasn't available. The next best thing was to put it in LA, where they have their season opener. It limits the travel. It gives a lot of the fans who will be out there to christen the title defense a chance to stay in LA for an extra day or 2, catch 2 games. Rodriguez inside, trying to get it back from Morales, and it's in the arms of Kevin Ruiz. New York does hope to see a spot later in this tournament, heading through to the quarters and beyond, where they can play more locally, whether that's Red Bull Arena or elsewhere. But in this unique year with a fall World Cup and seasons beginning earlier, Red Bull Arena isn't available as they get that field set to kick off their regular season in just a couple of weeks. Bennett looking over the top. Ronnie Dyla did expect a direct attack from Santos whenever they had a chance, looking to feed the likes of a Douglas Lopez, of an Urson Mendez. But the question for Santos remains, where will the goals come from without Javon East and Luis Paradela, who may play in the second leg? Once again, their work visas do not allow them to play in Costa Rica at the moment. It is unclear whether they may be able to play in the U.S., depending on the verbiage of work visas. All signs currently, the reports say, point to yes, they can play in the U.S., just not Costa Rica. And that puts Santos behind the 8 ball a little bit tonight. They do have a short bench as well. Only 4 field players on the bench tonight for Santos. Full allotment for New York. One name you won't hear tonight for New York, James Sands. He was transferred to Rangers in Scotland. Foul here goes against New York, and Sands is a tough player to replace for New York. They slotted him in at center back, at right back, in the midfield. Ronnie Dyla, a player there in James Sands that he's going to need multiple players to step up and replace for all the various roles he played in. One of those could be a guy like Gideon Zalelum, who we've seen on the ball a number of times tonight for NYCFC, just 25 years of age. Ray is called for the foul. See if Santos uses this as an opportunity to get bodies in the box and try to get this goal back. Get over eager from Tavon Gray, 19-year-old from the Bronx. Santos opts to quickly get it back into play. Here's Osvaldo Rodriguez, best 11 of CONCACAF League last year. That one looked like it might have hit off Cayens. The left knee as he got shoved, but no argument from Santos. It'll be a goal kick. Nearly a quarter of an hour gone. Making mention of New York not being able to play their home leg on their true home field. Should note that this is not Santos's home field either. Their traditional home field is a synthetic surface that is not eligible for CONCACAF competition. So they make the roughly 40-mile trip here to San Jose at Estadio Nacional. This is one of the top places to play in all of Central America. Host the Costa Rican national team in their World Cup qualification matches. Mentioned at the top of the broadcast, we might see Santos cede possession, try to counter when they can against NYC. That's what we've seen so far. Over 70% of the possession going New York's way. But a chance now on the corner for Santos. Don't know how many of these opportunities they may come across throughout the evening. Have to make it count when it's there. And Rodriguez trots out to take it. 18 appearances for the Costa Rican national team in his career. Now the 31-year-old in his 3rd different stint with Santos, where he started career, left for a bit, came back, left again, and now here to stay once more. Keaton Gray has been the subject of Jose Torres' focus a couple of times as the referee once again comes in for a quick chat. He called Gray for a foul a couple of moments ago. Rodriguez, center of the box. Only blue jerseys around that ball. First test by that NYC back line is passed. Talis Magno couldn't get the touch on it. He scored the decisive goal in the quarterfinal match, rather the semifinal match against Philadelphia Union in the 88th minute of a tied 1-1 game to put New York into the title game. Here's Zalelum, Morales. Rodriguez dropping it back. So far it seems as if Zalelem is occupying a lot of that space where we did at times see James Sands. Zalelem didn't really have a chance to showcase much last year, had some injuries. This one shot from distance and just wide as Sean Johnson irate. The back line gave it away, and Lopez almost caught him off his line. Or giveaway. Great. And some pressure at the back here for New York. Eric Rodriguez, whatever plan he had at the beginning of this one, having to adjust on the fly with the early goal by Tati Castellanos from the penalty mark in the 5th minute. And Sean Johnson gets it back into play. There's Zalelem once again. Now Acevedo. Gray has options in the box. Tavon Gray clips it up and over the head of Tati Castellanos. Nobody at the back door to retrieve it. Tavon Gray, the first Bronx native to sign with NYCFC, came up through their academy and signed a homegrown deal in November of 2019. Last year was his first full season with the first team, thrust into action after Anton Tinnerholm's injury. 7 starts down the stretch. Three shots to 1 so far for New York. A couple of big stops by Ruiz in the first couple of moments, but the penalty came shortly thereafter. Now Lopez puts it out wide. Chance here for Santos, back into Lopez and headed clear out for a corner kick. Cayens with some emergency defending, and that is what this team can do. They find that moment, that brief crease after a lapse by the defense. They nearly make you pay, but these are the moments where they miss a Paradela and a Javon East to get on the end of it. Shouts for handball the other way. We saw one given at the other end. Will this go to VAR? Jose Torres looking away from the players here. I think he's waiting for a word in that earpiece. They give the VAR signal or the ready for play signal. We're still holding things up. You know what the fans want him to do? Make that jog over to the monitor. Give Santos a chance to equalize from the penalty mark. And he gives it ready for play signal. No penalty awarded. Check complete. Castellanos flicks it to Morales. This could be something. They wanted a penalty. Now they're in danger at the other end. Rodriguez forced to the corner, cuts it back, slots it in. Morales off the crossbar and down, and again off the crossbar. I don't know much about physics. I don't know how that's possible. Bottom of the bar, bounce, and then top of the bar. And New York narrowly misses, going up 2-0 after they were in some peril waiting for a VAR check to complete. What a turn of events nearly. Let's take a look here. Bar down, the spin on it brings it back to the top of the crossbar. Santos very fortunate to still be down just 1-0. They think they may be hard done, though, not to be level at 1-1 after the near handball at the other end that elicited a rather lengthy VAR check before the word was given to Jose Torres to resume play. Here's another look back at the play that led to that handball shout. Hit the upper arm. It's a tough one. A team that was awarded a penalty against them just a few minutes prior. Maybe they try to get that call, but that's not a penalty. Back of the arm, near the shoulder. Good no call from the officials, both on the field and in the VAR room. Rodriguez, good step, Pablo Arboin. Pablo Arboin was on the field for San Carlos in 2020 in that game in Concacaf Champions League against New York City FC, so he's familiar with the opponent. Now the memories of that round, not too fond for Pablo Arboin. Had his team bounced in that one by a 6-3 aggregate. NYC would not advance any further. A lot of trouble with Tigres in the quarterfinal. Lost 5-0 on aggregate in that one. Collision leaves Santiago Rodriguez holding the back of his neck. 22-year-old Uruguayan scored 3 goals with 1 assist last year in 11 starts, 21 appearances for New York. Season of ups and downs last year for tonight's visitors, and it ended on the highest of highs, lifting the MLS Cup trophy. A strong start to the season allowed them to weather a bit of a lull in the middle of the season. They only won 1 out of 10 games from early September to late October. This shot from distance goes well wide. No trouble for Sean Johnson. But the good start allowed New York to weather that storm. Just 1 win in 10 from early September to mid-October. Then they turned things on. They would not lose another game the rest of the way. Unbeaten in the final 5 regular season games. And they would waltz all the way through to the final and beat Portland on the road in a very dramatic MLS Cup final. Castellanos still talking to here from Jose Torres after a late clip on that play. Castellanos, if you remember, was called for a foul a few moments into this game on a similar challenge. A bit late against Barquero. Castellanos had his 4 straight games for NYC with a goal dating back to last year. Scored in the quarterfinal, in the semifinal, and in the title game. Morales, Orzalelum. Played an even 100 minutes last season. 7 appearances, 1 start for the man on the ball. Gideon Zalelum, 2020, limited him to just 1 appearance due to injuries. He feels he's in a spot now for his career to take off a bit. He keeps this one in. It's out for a New York throw. Possession still 70-30 in favor of New York. That's a dangerous back pass there from Santos. Maxi Morales nearly latches onto it. Barquero is taken down by Morales. This game getting chippy early on. 2 teams with no history, facing off for the first ever time. Acevedo. Here's Magno. Give it away. All the way back for Ruiz, who had a busy first couple of moments. It's been quieter since then. And he had the help of the crossbar twice on the same play. Zalelum again. Remember back to the early 2010s, Zalelum was supposed to be that next big thing that a guy like Christian Pulisic turned into for the United States. As a teenager, went over to Arsenal in 2014. Never really panned out, bounced around a bit, loaned to Scotland and Germany. Dealt with some injuries, dealt with the tragic passing in his personal life of his 10-year-old sister. Had a lot to go through to get back to this point where he feels he can be a starter. He just signed a contract extension through this season with options for 2023 and 2024. And in the first competitive match of 2022 for NYCFC, Zalelum gets a start in a position that he's hoping to lock down. Still just 25 years old. Every now and then you get a guy like that, and it feels like he's been around forever, and he should be older than he is, just because he started so young, and he is still just 25 years old. A lot of good ahead of him. Morales taken down. Rodriguez chips it. Castellanos leaves it. Amundsen hasted across. Back to Castellanos. He's going to put that away 10 times out of 10. Picking up once again where he left off. 19 goals last year, 2 goals in 30 minutes this year for Tati Castellanos. Very easy to see why everybody around New York, staffers, players, fans, want this man to stay around. They know there's plenty of teams knocking at the door with offers. New York has been able to retain Castellanos for now. The question is, how long will that be the case? Will it be through the summer? Will it be beyond that? In the here and now, he is here, and right now, he is scoring at will, as he was last year. (23 years old, he's found his form. Castellanos, 18 goals in his first 60 games for New York. 19 in his next 32 regular season games. Factor in the 3 goals he had in 3 games in the postseason, and now he's got a couple here. And you go from 18 goals in his first 60 games in a New York uniform to now having himself 24 in the next 36 games. All the way back for Sean Johnson, calmly playing it around the back, a team that is on the road up 2-0 with 2 very important away goals. Could be a meeting with another MLS team in the next round should New York get through against possibly the Colorado Rapids. As you look around at the bracket, the draw is pretty favorable for a team like New York to make it through to that semifinal. The earliest they could face a Mexican team is in that semifinal in a tournament that has been dominated by Liga MX teams. Bennett. Surging header from Kyans, but Amundsen unable to keep it in. Amundsen on the left side, very similar to Tayvon Gray on the right side in that they both carved out significant roles in those outside back positions, and they weren't necessarily expected to last year. Amundsen ended up starting 14 matches and 3 of the 4 playoff games. As Magno hasn't quite found the rhythm of this game on that left side for New York. Ended up starting 5 matches last season, appearing in 15 of them for New York as a young designated player signing. Chanot pressured from behind. I don't know if he knew that Sebastian Castro was there. Able to get it away. New York did lose a couple of players in the offseason that were key pieces on the title run. Jesus Medina, Ismael Tajori-Shradi are gone. Anton Tinnerholm still out due to injury. The depth of this team that got them through some of the lulls of last season on display here. Another dicey moment though at the back. Just caught in no man's land. Playing that one out, Maxime Chanot. Sebastian Castro will leave this. Barquero gets it back against Gray. That's last off Barquero. Good bit of individual defending there from Tayvon Gray. A nice little fake from Rodriguez, gets himself in some space. Rodriguez chased from behind by our boy, taken down, edge of the area. And it's just outside of the box. Free kick coming for New York. Up 2 goals already, 10 minutes to go in this first half. Free kick from a very dangerous spot. And a yellow card to our boy. New York scored 5 goals in their game against San Carlos 2 years ago, winning that first leg 5-3. Already got a couple goals here in this first leg. A team that is maybe showing they like playing in Costa Rica. Ronnie Dyla in his press conference yesterday spoke about the importance of this tournament and finally maybe being the team in MLS that breaks through and lifts the trophy. That has still not happened in the history of this tournament. New York broke through with the MLS Cup title last year. Why not back it up with the Concacaf Champions League title? And it's a great start with 2 goals in 35 minutes. Can they make it a third off of this set piece? Maxi Morales, the trigger man. One-man wall. Could Morales try and beat Ruiz here with a surprise shot to the near post? Plenty of options in the area. But Morales, what's he gonna do? He's gonna take the shot and it's just wide. Very interesting decision from Kevin Ruiz to go with one man in the wall from that distance. Yes, Maxi Morales is known as a top-notch assist man, but from that close, a man of that talent, a wily veteran who's only 34 years old for 2 more weeks. He's gonna try you there. Kevin Ruiz maybe gets away with it. Plenty of green grass for Tayvon Gray. Magno tried to flick it on. But again, if you're going to make any complaint about the play so far from New York, Talis Magno, his touches have not been crisp. It is their first competitive match. They'd like to get him involved a bit more. Johnny Dyla could not speak more highly of a player in the way he speaks about Talis Magno. New York had the first 3 shots of the match, 3-3 since then, and a 6-3 lead overall. It's got them to a point where they're up 2 goals, a comfortable lead on the road. But a couple of moments like this tonight for New York. They get away with this one here as it's deflected out for a throw. Santos has picked their moments. They have pressured New York in their defensive third. It has yet to yield any significant offensive moment, though, for Santos. But again, given away. Chance here. Another shot done by the wayside. Every time that New York has given Santos a chance like that, Santos has bailed them out with a shot that has not tested Sean Johnson. Only work he's had to do so far in this one is go back behind the goal and retrieve another ball. Very intrigued to see how Eric Rodriguez has his team come out in the second half. Cannot lose at home in a tournament with this setup. The all-important away goals scored by New York. At the worst, when you're home in a tournament like this, you hope to get a draw. But really in a hole now. Does he come out swinging, trying to get those goals back? Or does he come out and say, you know what, we're missing a few key guys that we hope to have back next week. Let's have some damage control here. Keep it just 2-0. Hope New York makes a mistake, as they have nearly done so multiple times in this game, where you pull it back to 2-1. Decisions to be made for Eric Rodriguez. And those decisions might change here in the last few minutes of the half. Another error by New York, and another time in which that yields a shot off target by Santos. Whatever Eric Rodriguez does say at the half, and adjustments he does make, he will have some choice words, I imagine, about some of these shots that have gone well off target from Santos after they've earned those turnovers with their hard work in their defensive third, rather than the attacking third for Santos. Santiago Rodriguez sets up the corner. Typically see Maxi Morales from there. Now Morales over for a chat. Leaves it for Rodriguez. Rodriguez loops one in. Ball loose in the box. Comes out for a shot that's deflected on the way in. And it is out for another corner kick. Nico Acevedo with the volley. One of 2 22-year-olds from Uruguay in the starting 11 for New York. Santi Rodriguez, and Nico Acevedo. Rodriguez again from the corner. And a foul against New York. Looked like Chanot came through, rather Cayens. Now, should Santos try and open things up and change the game in the second half, Eric Rodriguez doesn't have much on the bench to try and make those tweaks. Just 4 outfield players available tonight. For Johnson. You get the sense that New York is playing with fire a bit. All the giveaways they've had in their defensive third. At some point, Santos is going to steer one of those shots on frame. Barquero. Rodriguez comes through with a heavy challenge. th year of this tournament after the rebrand. There's the Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League. Some tweaks have been made along the way, but 14 years since that change. Overall competition has been going since 1962. 57th edition of the tournament this year. 58 winners in the past 56. Yes, there was a year where 3 teams shared the trophy, so 58 winners in 56 years. Swept away for a corner kick. Santos can completely change the complexion of this one. They find some way to muster a goal before the half. New York's back line, so tough to crack down the stretch of last season. Has been the case so far tonight. 5 shots in all for Santos. If memory serves me correctly, of those 5 shots, the closest one to the goal frame was about 4 yards wide to the left of Sean Johnson, who has not had anything to do yet. It all changed though. On one play, in one moment. It goes short, but this is not going to be that moment. A corner squandered by Santos with a foul before a cross even comes in. And it's Arboin receiving the tongue lashing from Jose Torres. He already has a yellow card. He has to be very careful. Just 1 minute of added time here in the first half. The first half that has featured 2 goals from Tati Castellanos. 19 last regular season, added 3 in the cup run in the postseason. He has 2 in the first competitive game of 2022 for New York. First one came in the 5th minute from the penalty mark. And the next one 25 minutes later at the half-hour mark on a blast in the box on a loose ball. There's Magno. Now Castellanos. Great vision to find Morales. In front, Magno off the post. Would have been an own goal had it gone in. Last off Luis Hernandez. New York will have the last chance of the half on the corner kick. Everyone flocks to Castellanos with 2 goals already. Great vision, plays it out wide. Morales fed it in. And off the post. That is 3 separate occasions now. The woodwork has been hit by New York. 2 of those pings came on the same shot. Still trying to wrap my brain around how that happened on the shot from Morales earlier in the half. Good cross in from Morales. Castellanos rose to meet it. Just a glancing header. Play still alive. With that play all the way back to Tavon Gray. Will that end the half? It will not. Jose Torres calls the foul. Oh, before he gives the free kick, though, he will blow that halftime whistle. So at the break, it's 2-0 New York on a pair of goals from Tati Castellanos. And Eric Rodriguez has a lot to think over in the locker room for Santos. A look at the first half highlights here between New York and Santos, and a montage that will mostly feature New York. The visitors have been entirely in control of this one. It's 2-0 at the break. The reigning MLS Cup champions taking it to Santos right now. A team in Santos making its debut in this tournament after a strong showing last year in Concacaf League, which saw them bow out in the quarterfinal after a collapse. They were up 3-1 on aggregate against Forge and lost 3-0 in the second leg, hoping to redeem themselves here in this tournament. Early on, chance for Talis Magno, the save made by Kevin Ruiz. In the ensuing action in the box, New York would earn a penalty. Zalelum serves it up off the hand there of Barquero, and then Tati Castellanos. Not the best penalty he's taken. We saw him take a few last year in that cup run. Ruiz gets a piece of it, but not the whole thing, and it's 1-0 New York. Not the last we will hear from Castellanos in these first half highlights. He had 19 goals last regular season, the Golden Boot winner in MLS. Followed that with 3 goals on the way to the trophy lift. And he's got 2 in the first half of the first game of 2022. Player that has been in the talks for the last couple of weeks as far as transferring. He's here for now. They're glad to have him for now. And this is what the first half looked like for Santos. They earned some takeaways in the attacking third, but none of the shots were on target. They rushed a number of them, trying to catch Sean Johnson off his line, and in doing so, they put a lot of them wide. They tried here to plead their case for a handball. Jose Torres did hold up the game for about a minute as he was listening into the earpiece to see if the VAR room wanted to take a look. Play continued, and as the ball went up the other end of the field, Rodriguez here to Morales off the bar once and twice. And just like that, from a near handball, near penalty on the other side to a near goal twice here with that spin off the crossbar twice for Maxi Morales. This one cut through then on the left side for Amundsen. With ricochet a couple of times, and then Castellanos. I mean, if he's doing that in the first competitive game of the year, not even in midseason form yet technically, what is he going to be doing when it's March, when it's April in the MLS season, and for a team that hopes to still be playing, of course, in CONCACAF Champions League come March, April, and May. Castellanos just buries it into the roof of the net. Bodies in front, doesn't matter. He gets his first half brace, 25 minutes apart, the penalty in the 5th minute, this goal in the 30th minute. This angle, the best we have, just threads it through, hits the ceiling of the net before it hits the back of the net. They would have some more opportunities here. Morales puts it in front before Talis Magno could get a touch to it. It's knocked off the post, and off the post Carlos Magno nearly put it in, but it just worked its way through his legs. And that would lead us to the halftime whistle with New York up 2-0 on the road over Santos. The numbers tell the story of the score that we see up at the top. Possession heavily in New York's favor. Shots on goal, 2-0. Shots 7-5. And again, those 5 shots for Santos, all weak off-target shots. None of them that have been close, just missed the posts or the crossbar. They've all been a few yards wide or high. Santos has a lot to figure out here in the locker room now for Eric Rodriguez's squad. And there's plenty more action to come here in the round of 16. This one just gets things going. We have Santos Laguna against Montreal coming up next, and then Guastatoya against Leon to kick things off tomorrow night. Santos out there ready to begin half number 2 and erase the memory of half number 1, which saw them go down 2-0 to a New York side that is making its way back out onto the pitch. A pair of goals from Tati Castellanos, the difference in this one. And what will Santos throw at New York in the second half? Do they open up and try to get some of the goals back? Is it damage control, hoping that when they have reinforcements on the way for leg number 2 in the United States, they can pull off the upset on the road? What went through the mind of Eric Rodriguez during the break? We are soon to find out. Joe Malfa here with you this evening. Very glad to have you tuning in as we're excited to welcome back CONCACAF Champions League here in the 2022 edition, brought to you by Scotiabank. Monterrey, the defending champions. Will this be the year an MLS team breaks through? New York off to a strong start, and now the start to the second half. Clear shove from Evanson in the back there. Did not appear as if Santos trotted out with any substitutions. Dallas Magno down the left side to Castellanos and back. Magno waiting for some help in the box, still with it. Pulls it back onto the right foot. Magno, Morales, Castellanos, back to Morales. And now Amundsen. Back to Magno, flag stays down. Options in the box. Played just behind Dallas Magno by Tati Castellanos. Promising start early on from New York already. On the bench, New York has the newly acquired Thiago Martins, the center back from Brazil. Untitled mentioned he may get into this game in yesterday's press conference. Spoke very highly of the center back, but on a team with Maxime Chanot and Alex Cayens, barring injury or international duty, don't know how much you will be turning to a guy like that. Castellanos cleanly wins it. Sitting on a hat trick, Castellanos into space. A bit too much on that final touch. What can he salvage from this? Back to Gray. Acevedo. Rodriguez. Morales couldn't get it back through. Still working for it. And Zalelum plays it along to Amundsen. Very quiet and steady from Gideon Zalelum in that James Sands role in the middle of the midfield. Morales spots the run inside from Rodriguez. The flick goes well wide of Kevin Ruiz. I mentioned the role of James Sands. Have to qualify that a couple of ways, though. As you saw Ronnie Dyla looking on, the head coach deployed James Sands in a number of ways last year. Sometimes at right back, sometimes at center back, sometimes in that number 6 role in the midfield. A lot of people believe that midfield role is where Sands is the strongest, and that is the role Zalelum is occupying now in the absence of James Sands. On to Europe. A player who, in short order, might factor into the national team plans for the United States as well with his recent play. Acevedo, back for Zalelum. One more time, played on back to Maxime Chanot, and now Sean Johnson. Santos closing in, and this is where things have gotten dangerous for New York. A couple of errant passes in their defensive third have led to some open opportunities for Santos. They haven't been able to cash in on any, and now New York with another chance of their own. Magno, maybe the wrong choice in the end. And Morales streaking left, Castellanos open right early on. And Magno, a little apology there to Morales. Read it wrong in the end. You can see the ability from Dallas Magno. Whenever the ball is at his feet, that makes a coach like Ronnie Dyla so excited about the future for this kid. Well, plays like that will be logged in the memory bank, and next time he sees that, we'll see what he can do with it. Those plays for a player of that caliber turn into goals when the experience meets the talent. Osvaldo Rodriguez. There's a man that might spark something for Santos. It is Rodriguez. That's 11 last year in Concacaf League. Nobody in the starting 11 for Santos with more than 15 goals in their professional careers. That's the scoring they lack without the likes of Giovanni East or Luis Paradela, who they hope to have in the second leg. Again, their work visas do not allow them to play in Costa Rica for the time being. They expect that to be resolved come March, but for now, they have not been able to play tonight, of course, and they've missed a couple of domestic games, which is why Santos has struggled to start their domestic season. Here's a turnover and a chance. The dummy in the middle tried to play it through to Lopez, but he wasn't close enough. Played back in and headed away by Amundsen. Douglas Lopez maybe a couple yards further back than Arson Mendez realized as he dummied that one through. And again, that chance is born out of some sloppy play at the back from New York. And once again, it does not yield a shot on target. Just 5 shots in this one for Santos. None have threatened Sean Johnson. Rodriguez chips it through, looking for Magno. Falls for Castellanos with 2 goals already. Plays it to Morales. Spots the runner, Rodriguez. Instead, it's Magno, and it's just wide. The flag did go up late in the end. Assistant referee holds it down, lets the play out. Always have VAR to back you up if need be. But Magno puts it wide anyway. And the correct call certainly made in the end. You wonder what the intent was there from Morales. Was it the run of Rodriguez that he spotted? Rodriguez was in an onside position, and Magno just taking himself out of that play. If New York has a chance to add to their lead, there should be no holding back in this game or going into a defensive shell to preserve a 2-0 lead. They have dictated every moment of this game since the opening whistle was blown. If you can get those extra away goals, add to your aggregate, by all means do it. Because again, you know those reinforcements may be on the way for Santos in leg number 2 in a non-traditional home game for New York, playing their quote-unquote home game in Los Angeles due to the circumstances. Get as many as you can tonight while the tide is certainly in your favor. Maybe another here. The stop made by Ruiz. Castellanos nearly had his hat trick. Those two linked up so many times last year. Maxi Morales with 11 assists last season. He has 60 in his MLS career, now entering his 6th season. Averaging a dozen assists per season. Only the 3rd player in MLS history at the time to have a 20-assist season. This one falls through for Acevedo in front. And falling on it is Kevin Ruiz. Tries to spring the attack himself with the punt. It just goes goalkeeper to goalkeeper. The vision from Morales, even on passes like that around the back. Just curled around 2 would-be defenders, but a slip here from Chanot. Just given right back, though, by Rodriguez. Every time New York gives, instead of taking, Santos gives it right back. Castellanos not on the same page there as Santiago Rodriguez. Kevin Ruiz in goal. A strong showing in Concacaf League last year. 6 appearances, 5 goals conceded, and 3 of those came in that one game against Forge. Ruiz has a few big saves tonight in this one. Kept the score where it is. I don't know how many more times, though, he can come up with something like he had a few moments ago against Castellanos to keep this at 2-0. At some point, the 10 men in front of him will have to help out. Zalelem pokes it through. Morales sees it into the arms of Ruiz. Might have been offside anyway. Deep in the corner. Santos bailed out. A foul against Amundsen. Spent 6 years in Denmark, Malte Amundsen, and some time in Norway and Germany before making his way to NYCFC. Expected to take that next step this year. Really high hopes for the 24-year-old's future. Capped at multiple youth levels for Denmark. Got Amundsen on the left side, Davon Gray on the right side. 24 years old on the left side, 19 years old on the right side. There's experience and talent on that back line, but also youth. For New York, you could see how everything came together in their title run last year, pairing the experience with the youth and the talent throughout under the tutelage of Ronnie Dyla. Castellanos taken down, but no call made by Jose Torres.
Métase al bloque, Douglas, métase al bloque.
16 teams enter this tournament, already down to 15, with New England going through and Cavalli having to pull out. More on that in a moment. News broke a few minutes before kickoff of this game that New England would be through to the quarterfinal. Those 16 teams entering, 4 come from Mexico, 4 from the US, 1 from the Caribbean zone, 1 from Canada, and 6 from Central America. MLS teams have come close. They've made multiple finals, most recently LAFC in 2020. No team has been able to come up with that breakthrough. Find some pundits with opinions on this year's tournament. They'll say that New York maybe isn't the best of the hopes for MLS to lift the title. And instead, maybe it's a team from the Western Conference who's entered into this. Maybe a team like the Seattle Sounders, like the Portland Timbers. You'll find a few, or more than a few, who will side with New York and the talent and experience they have, as long as Tati Castellanos is in the mix. And depending on which rumors you buy into, it seems as if he'll be in the mix through at least the summer. Well, this tournament ends in May. So as long as he's here for the duration of this tournament, this team has a chance. But right now, it might be Santos with a chance to pull one back on the corner as we tick toward the hour mark. And to correct what I said a moment ago, Seattle Sounders and Colorado Rapids, the 2 teams from the Western Conference. Portland on the brain as the team that New York beat in the title game last year. Another corner gone by the wayside for Santos. And even the second ball just put directly in the air. Arboin Puts it through. Rodriguez has it deflected, and it's out for another corner. In the 60th minute, Santos hoping for something to break their way. Rodriguez plays the corner back. Barquero, good lofted ball into the hands of Sean Johnson.
Douglas, 4-1, 4-1. Haga un triángulo.
Shots are 10-5 in favor of New York. Possession still heavily in their favor as well, up near 70%. That we expected coming in. The question was, would Santos be able to capitalize on a mistake, find that counter in transition, find that goal? Yellow card here issued to Barquero. And instead, it was Santos who was punched in the mouth early. The penalty given to New York and converted by Castellanos changed the entire outlook of what Santos perhaps set out to do tonight. And now an hour into it, they're down a pair.
Número 2 al minuto 61. Gracias. Número 2 al minuto 61. Tarjeta amarilla, número 2 del Santos.
Lex Cayens gets it back into play.
4-1, 4-1.
Wonder which subs we may see enter for New York. Plenty of firepower on the bench if they choose to keep the foot down on the gas and try for more. Which again, in this situation, where aggregate obviously could come into play, and Santos will have 3 of their most prominent players back potentially next week. Try to get as many as you can while everything is going your way in this game. Given away, taken by Lopez. A rare mistake we've seen tonight from Gideon Zalelum. Morales tucks it back for Acevedo. Gray calling for it on the right flank. A lot of space out there as well. Rodriguez gets it out to him. Avon Gray, options in the middle. Now Talis Magno started this game out on the left wing, has started to drift into the middle. That ball comes in just over the head of both Castellanos and Morales. Now Maxi Morales making his impact felt on this game. Alfredo Morales is out for NYCFC. It was announced yesterday in the press conference by Ronnie Dyla that he was out due to COVID. No official word on when it is that he may return. Just miscues like that have plagued Santos throughout the evening. Not allowed them to get anything going as far as possession and orchestrating an attack the other way. Whatever they've had in terms of opportunities have come from New York giveaways in their own defensive third. Magno puts it through to Amundsen. Touch takes him too far, and Ruiz wisely lets it out for a goal kick. I mentioned again a few moments ago the situation with New England and Cavalli. That put New England through to the quarterfinal as we get another look here at that heavy touch by Amundsen. Official statement from Concacaf. Cavalli has notified Concacaf that the club has been unable to obtain the necessary visas required to travel to the U.S. for their upcoming matches against New England Revolution, and they have made the decision to formally withdraw from the competition. As a result of the withdrawal, New England will progress to the quarterfinals, where they will face the winner of Pumas and Deportivo Saprissa in the round of 16. The matter of Cavalli's withdrawal from the competition will be referred to the CONCACAF Disciplinary Committee as that situation continues to unfold. We have Morales writhing in pain here, back behind the play. teams with no history. We've seen a couple of challenges in this one. And have really set the other teams off. Second look here, nothing too malicious from Bennett. Two guys going for a 50-50 ball. Morales got the worst of it. Just hope nothing too serious. Burns 35 in a couple of weeks. Signed an extension through this year with an option for 2023. And New York signed a number of guys to extensions in the last couple of weeks that were announced. Nico Acevedo, an extension through 2025 with an option for 2026. Among them in the starting 11 tonight, Keaton Parks as well. Interesting one there. Signed through this year, but 2 option years, 2023 and 2024. Keaton Parks is on the bench tonight for New York. Another one of those players, in addition to Keaton Parks, who might be asked to do more in terms of his role in the midfield with the loss of James Sands. Keaton Parks still working his way back up to 100% health after he had a blood clot removed from the lower portion of his right leg last season. Happened right after the regular season ended, and he was not available for any of the playoff games. Everything went smoothly with the operation. He's working his way back up to full fitness. Could see him off the bench tonight. 20 minutes gone. Now in half number 2. Joe Malfa with you this evening. Glad to have Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League back once again. Action tonight in San Jose, Costa Rica. And it's been all New York. Can they add a third? Castellanos puts it back, and it's just wide off the right foot of Rodriguez. The one thing New York and Santos have in common right now in this game is when they review the game footage, they're both going to be kicking themselves over opportunities they've missed. Santos, 5 or 6 times, they have been gifted possession in the attacking third on errant passes at the back from New York and could not turn any of them into shots on goal so far. New York has had plenty of opportunities to tack on a third or a fourth in this one. They've all gone by the wayside. A game in which the two sides played very different football, with New York in total control. There's the one common thread they have is missed opportunities. Plenty of patience at the back from New York, but again, there's another giveaway in the defensive half. Will Santos be able to turn one of these into a chance? And at least get a free kick out of this one. And reaching for the back pocket, Jose Torres. Might this change things? Rodriguez sent off. We'll wait to see another look at it. Initially, I just thought a hard foul. Ooh, the studs were up, got him on the foot, but you've seen plays like that result in a yellow. Rodriguez, you can see right there, he's surprised at Torres reaching for the back pocket. Maxi Morales in the replay just stopped in his tracks. He was walking over to put the free kick down for Santos and just sort of froze. So New York down to 10 men with this 2-goal lead. They've been attacking in this second half the same way they did in the first half, looking for more. Will going down a man perhaps dissuade them from that and maybe lead them to just see this lead out, take a 2-0 victory with them back to LA for next week. From distance again, and once again, a shot a few yards wide of Sean Johnson.
Hey, let's go, Blue. Let's go, guys. Come on. Let's go, guys.
All 6 shots from Santos have been taken from outside the box. All 6 shots have missed a target by a couple of yards. Santos will have to play another league game between now and next week's second leg, whereas New York will be able to rest up and get their normal practices in ahead of that second leg. One of the perks of an MLS team in this juncture of the season, not having to deal with a glut of matches in a row. Santos played a few days ago. They played tonight. They play in 3 days, and then a few days later, it's leg number 2. And one thing of note as well for Santos, the 11 that started tonight's game, the same 11 that started their league match a couple of days ago. With a short bench of just 4 outfield players, could be some tired legs out there, with not many options to replace them for Eric Rodriguez. Douglas Lopez waiting for some options in this attack. Gets it out to Luis Hernandez. And just as quickly as that rush up the field seemed to begin for Santos, it's back at midfield. Some sustained possession for them, though, ever since they've gone up a man. That's not something we could have said about any other portion of this game, where possession has been dominated to the tune of 70-30 by New York. Lopez puts it in front. Barquero, a couple of steps too slow to it. Hernandez keeps it in. Back for Barquero. Now Osvaldo Rodriguez. Here's Hernandez again. Rodriguez again. Numbers in the box. Rodriguez plays it through to Barquero. Still numbers in the box. And Tavon Gray able to get it out of harm's way. In one of the games that Javon East has played this season for Santos before the work visa issues set in, they scored 2 goals. And those 2 goals came in the win against Saprissa. And those 2 goals are the only 2 goals they've scored in the 4 games. They were shut out in each of the other 3 matches so far this season. And the same can be said so far tonight as we approach the 75-minute mark, with New York preparing a couple of changes. Appears as if Keaton Parks and Thiago Martins will be checking into this one. And which players come out for those 2 guys will be very telling of how Ronny Deila views the rest of this matchup. We've got a center back and a defensive midfielder getting ready to check in. If he takes out someone like Maxi Morales or Talis Magno on the attacking end, his intentions are purely to see this one out to a 2-0 victory. A third, a fourth, of course, would be nice. You're never going to complain about more goals thrown on top of the pile in an aggregate situation. But most importantly, down a man, you want to make sure you don't give Santos life. Even 1 goal at this point for Santos to get the aggregate down to 2-1 would feel like a major victory going into the second leg. Castellanos flicks it along. I haven't called his name as much in the second half. For his brace in the first 30 minutes of this one. There are the two changes coming in for New York. As Magno seemed to think he was the one coming off. But it's 23, not 43. Gideon Zalella will exit. And now Magno will exit. So a defensive mid for defensive mid, and a center back out there as well, with an attacking player off. Defensive moves from New York as they look to secure this victory. Alex Cayenne draws the foul. Engaged there. There's some Mendez. A steady game in the middle for Gideon Zalella. Did have a couple of giveaways that Santos should have punished him for. He got away with them tonight. Magno in and around some opportunities for New York. Couldn't quite find the finishing touch. But again, the 19-year-old Brazilian showing the flashes. It gets this team so excited about their young designated player signing from last year. A contract that goes through 2026. Keaton Parks, a few months removed from that blood clot surgery. Working back up to full speed. 24-year-old, spent a few years in Portugal with Benfica. Was loaned to New York in 2019, where he had the best year of his career. And then after going back to Benfica briefly, New York ended up signing him in 2020. He's found his home. Had one appearance for the U.S. men's national team back in 2018. Now working his way back into the mix. He's a name that you might have seen in the January camp had he not had the surgery that he needed to recover from. The way he ended last season, the way he was playing, seemed to be a guy that would be brought back into the fold for the U.S. Ronnie Dyla very excited about Thiago Martins giving him his first New York action. Signed a couple of weeks ago. Had spent time in Brazil and Japan prior to this acquisition. Dyla called him the complete center back. He's quick, he's tall, he's a great leader, very smart, terrific in the air. Really no weaknesses in his all-around game. And when you add that type of player, Thiago Martins, to a center back tandem, Alex Cayenne and Maxime Chenot, who have been stellar together, would have played over 100 games together on that back line for New York. Very important on a back line to have that kind of experience and continuity. Now it's just a terrific insurance option. And Thiago Martins, maybe they find a way to work him in that James Sands role. Again, keep bringing that up. How do they replace him? Maybe you find a guy like Martins, another chess piece to maneuver for Ronnie Dyla. Santos preparing a couple of changes of their own. Looked like Ryan Kane was up and ready. Standing alongside Luis Perez. First change will be Ryan Kane in. Alvin Bennett out. Bringing in a forward defender. up a man. Santos maybe trying to find that goal. Just cut it to 2-1. Give them some life going into the second leg. Here is Perez. Ryan Kane coming into the match. His first action is committing the foul. 18-year-old for Costa Rica. A lot of the attacks for New York come down the right flank in this one. The left side was a bit tougher. The right side was a bit tough with one Diego Madrigal on the right side. Sebastian Castro as well on that right flank. An interesting pairing for Santos. You have their most experienced player in Madrigal, who has played well over 300 games in his professional career. 309 with Santos to be exact, 463 overall. And then you've got Sebastian Castro playing just his second game for Santos, 16th of his pro career. So between the two, they go into this game with almost 500 games of pro experience, but almost all of that with Madrigal. And the old veteran has taken Castro under his wing. That right side of the back line has been rather sturdy tonight for Santos. Something to take out of this one, at least. On the left side has given them some troubles. This one out wide to Castro. Cut off by Amundsen. Perez deflects it out for a New York throw. Perez came into the match for Michael Barquero. Under 10 minutes remaining here at Estadio Nacional in San Jose, Costa Rica. Santos down 2-0 in their home leg of the round of 16 here in the 2022 Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League. Reigning MLS Cup champs, New York City FC. They struck early and they struck twice in that first half. Both times, Tati Castellanos. No shots on target for Santos here in the 83rd minute. All it takes is one to completely shift the momentum going into the second leg. That's a good ball, but the header is glanced straight back through to the other side. Another delivery, center of the box. This one cleared away by Martin, showing some of that aerial prowess that Ronnie Deila spoke about in his press conference yesterday. They've been able to muster some possession ever since the red card against New York, but still no shots on target. This one, though, deflects and gives Santos a corner. Possession was nearly 70-30 at the time of the red card. Now it's 63-37. So can Santos turn some of that extra time on the ball into a goal late in this one? Osvaldo Rodriguez positions the corner. They're fifth of the match. None of them have yielded any opportunities. This one headed toward goal, but still well wide of it. As Sean Johnson gathers it at the edge of his 6-yard box. something that has not turned into much of a factor in this game is the wind, whipping at 23 miles an hour. New York has been very methodical in the build, keeping the ball mostly on the ground. Hasn't affected much. Santos has tried to play direct on a number of occasions over the top, but whether it's the wind or just the quality of the ball, haven't really had many opportunities to even link up on those passes. So the wind has largely remained a non-factor in this one. Another sub on the way. Armando Cole is ready for Santos. Good step by Amundsen to dispossess Castro. Continues to run, but just nothing left to continue there. So Costa Rica again turning into a home away from home for New York. A 5-3 win in the trip to face San Carlos in the round of 16 2 years ago. They backed that up with a 1-0 win at home. And on their way right now to a 2-0 victory if things continue the way they have for 85 minutes. Here's Lopez. Caught between his feet. That's right from distance. Finally troubles Sean Johnson. The first save he has to make. The first shot on target comes in the 86th minute. Danielson Mason put the laces through it. And still, every single shot by Santos has come from outside of the box. Looks like that will be all for Douglas Lopez, who walks off the far side of the field as Armando Cole enters. Erson Mendez battling Tavon Gray. Osvaldo Rodriguez clips one over the top, over the head of Cole. The stark difference in the shot maps for both teams available in the Concacaf app. The attacking third, particularly in and around the penalty box, littered with those black dots for NYC. They've gotten into those dangerous areas, and they've converted a couple of times. No dots within 25 yards of the goal for Santos. Everything from well on the outsides. And Santos only a couple of minutes to try and change that. At this point, just try and salvage something going into the second leg, even if it's not a goal. Just some bit of interchange that gives you some semblance of an attack and something you can hang your hat on as you prepare for next week's second leg. Jose Torres walking alongside Tati Castellanos with some words for the striker who has 2 goals in this one as he tries to force him along the sideline. Hebert is set to enter this one. Castellanos leaves with his impacts felt. And 19 goals last regular season in MLS, 3 goals in the playoffs, and picks it right back up with 2 goals in the first half hour of his first game of 2022. Now enter Hebert. He scored a hat-trick in that 5-3 win in Costa Rica against San Carlos 2 years ago. Coming off the bench tonight as he works his way back from a torn ACL. He played towards the end of last season, returned mid-September. Didn't play a full game in that return, though, for that ACL in September of 2020. Limited role last year, and they hope NYCFC that Hebert can recapture that form he had in 2019. That one ricochets all the way out for a goal kick. And Hebert, in 2019, he only played 22 games. He had 15 goals and 4 assists in those 22 games. For a team that may lose Tati Castellanos, again, nothing set in stone obviously with that. A team that may lose him, whether it's in the near term. Some nations like Brazil, Argentina, their transfer windows continue on into March and April. River Plate just had a bid rejected. Or whether it's in the summer. If Tati Castellanos is out of the mix, they're going to need Hebert to recapture that 2019 form. Just 3 minutes left in this one for Santos to salvage something at home. Or it will be New York taking a commanding 2-0 lead into the second leg with those 2 away goals in hand as well. Santos could try to return the favor of what happened to them in Concacaf League though last year. They took a 2-goal aggregate lead into the second leg against Forge. They were up 3-1, and they ended up losing 3-0 in that game. But they turn the tables on New York next week. That one's still alive here. Bouncing around in front off the foot of Cole. Another shot blocked. Santos dangerous here in the dying moments. And New York able to finally clear. Not all the way though. Cole heads it back in. And Hebert is taken down. That will alleviate the pressure. Under 2 minutes to play. Santos finally created some havoc in the box that nearly yielded an opportunity. But the story of the night for Santos, just unable to put things together in the final third. New York has been quite generous in some of the gifts they've tried to give to Santos. They're in a giving mood, but Santos not in a receiving mood. Acevedo trots off the far side of the field, and that brings in Justin Hack. Spent the last 2 years on loan in USL with Hartford Athletic. Homegrown player for NYCFC. Another one to throw in that mix in the midfield. 20-year-old from Brooklyn. Signed his homegrown deal in January of 2019. Made 1 appearance in 2020 with NYCFC. 26 in USL with Hartford. Very steady presence he supplied to Hartford in the midfield. Always in control, always looking over his shoulder. Able to spring the attack with very crisp outlet passes. As I've gone through the roster tonight for NYCFC, Santi Rodriguez, who got the red card, is 22. Talis Magno's 19. Acevedo's 22. Tavon Gray is 19. Inserted Justin Hack, he's 20. Thiago Andrade still on the bench. Was really good last season, is 21. And Multi Amundsen is 24. It's a young team for Ronnie Dyla. And this young team, mixed with some of the old talent, has a 2-0 victory on the road to begin the 2022 Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League. Their first competitive match of this year ends up in a victory, as did their last competitive match of 2021 that earned that star above their left chest. And New York City continues its winning ways. Santos will have to dig deep in the second leg on the road in LA a week from now. A brace for Castellanos to get that 2-0 victory for New York. We'll look at some of the highlights from tonight. Most of it, again, on New York's side. as they earn the 2-0 victory on the road against Santos. All started in the 5th minute. This ball in from Zalelem didn't find a blue jersey near the penalty spot, but it took an awkward hop. Barquero handled it, and Castellanos also handled it, converting his penalty. His first goal of 2022 after scoring 22 of them last year. And we would hear more from him very shortly. Another play just pinballing around the box. Castellanos didn't really have the goalie to beat on this one, but there were bodies in front and he had to drill it to the only spot that it would have yielded a goal. That was in the roof of the net. This is the most telling angle here. You could see the bodies in front, one of them being his teammate, Talles Magno, and he just puts it through. Hits the ceiling before the back of the net. Incredibly well struck by Castellanos. Both goals belong to him. There were more opportunities. Rodriguez, a narrow miss. Castellanos was robbed at one point by Ruiz. Talles Magno had a chance, ended up being called back for offside. Rodriguez would be a part of the highlights later on in this one, but for not so positive a reason, he was sent off with a red card. And after that, it gave Santos an opportunity to find their footing in terms of the possession, but it didn't yield anything. A 2-0 win for NYCFC on this evening in San Jose.